Today we will start with a new chapter in civics, our criminal justice system. You will find it on page B 102. Okay, so our criminal justice system. Now, one of the important.
Your voice is
My voice is?
not clear.
What about others? Can you hear me?
No, ma'am, your voice is coming not clearly.
Okay, it will be better.
Ma'am, your voice is cracking.
Okay, it's okay. Maybe some network issues. It will be better in a while. Don't worry. It will take just a few minutes to get better. Alright, so now one of the most important functions of the government is to maintain peace and order and harmony in society. And now, in order to have prosperity and growth and development of an individual, single person also, as well as of his family and society and country and the entire nation, it is very important that we have peace. uh, and without peace, all this is not possible. And now this law and order in a society, it is maintained by the police and the courts. Now if you remember the last chapter that we did in civics, the judicial system, we studied about two types of cases. What were the two types of cases we studied about?
Ma'am, civil and criminal.
All right, so
Ma'am, civil and criminal.
right, civil and criminal cases. So criminal cases, can you tell me anything about the criminal cases? What are criminal cases?
Ma'am,
Yes, anyone?
Ma'am, the cases that deals with murder and all these things.
Okay, so criminal cases are those which are considered as crimes, and which are, you break law when you commit a crime, so you are breaking laws. And so in this particular chapter we will have a look at a criminal justice system, that how justice is imparted in terms of criminal cases. And so to for a better understanding, now this chapter starts with a story so that we can understand a criminal justice system better. And so now this is 16/5 2004. And Sohan Singh, he goes to the house of Ramesh Sharma, and this is to get back a loan of 10,000 which he has lent to Mr. Sharma 3 years ago. So Sohan Singh, he goes to Ramesh Sharma, and he wants his 10,000 rupees back which he has given to Mr. Ramesh Sharma 3 years ago. Okay, and so he goes there, and the story goes like that. He says to Ramesh that this is my fifth visit to your house, and he asked him that when will you return my money. So now Ramesh, he is like, what, which money are you talking about? And I never took any loan from you, and you are telling a lie. So Sohan Singh, he obviously he felt very bad, and he says that how dare you speak such a lie? And I gave you money in good faith, as you were very close to me, and so I gave you money just like that. And so Mr. Ramesh, he says, but what is the proof? And I don't, since you don't have a proof, so I don't owe you a single paisa. And you do whatever you want to do, and you get lost from here, means I have never taken any money from you. And so Sohan Singh, he is like, okay, then I will teach you a lesson, and you will have to pay for what you have done today. And so Sohan Singh uh, returns to the house of Mr. Ramesh Sharma on 20th May 2004. And he comes there with two men who had lathis with them. Okay, then let's see what happens. Okay, so Mr. Sharma, he comes out of his house, and so when he comes out of his house, he's beaten with lathis, and he falls down on the ground, and he's bleeding a lot. Then on 25 2004, Mr. Sharma, he goes to the hospital, and the doctor, he examines him and ties a bandage to his head, and he also gives an injury report to him. Okay, and then same day he goes to the police station, and then he tells there that, sir, I have come to file an FIR. What is an FIR? Anyone knows the full form of FIR? Yes.
Ma'am, your voice is not coming.
Ma'am, please repeat.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Listen, you can go back to the recording. I'll just go back a little. And on 20th May 2004, Sohan Singh, he goes to the house of Ramesh Sharma with two men who were armed with lathis. And Mr. Sharma, Ramesh, he comes out of his house, and when he comes out, he is beaten with lathis, and so he falls on the ground and he is bleeding a lot, and he goes to the hospital. Doctor examines him and ties a bandage on his head, and also gives him an injury report, means how much injury he has sustained. Then he goes to the police station and says that to the officer there, that I've come to file an FIR. What is FIR?
Ma'am,
Ma'am,
first information report.
information report.
Okay, so first information report about a crime. So he goes there to file an FIR, and he says that Sohan Singh and two of accomplices, those who came along with him, they beat me with lathis and they injured me, and this is the doctor's report. Okay. Then on 21st, the next day, a police team who were led by the sub inspector Chaudhary visit Sohan Singh's house, and he is arrested, and they tell him that you have hit Mr. Sharma with lathis, injuring him, and they ask him that where are the two people who came with you, and the police officer asks Sohan to take him to their houses. Okay, then after 24 hours, the police, they present Mr. Sohan Singh before the court of magistrate, and says that, sir, this accused, means he is accused of doing a particular crime. He has beat Mr. Sharma with lathis and he injured his head, and we need his custody for 14 days so that we can examine them and we can visit the scene of the crime and recover the weapons with which all this has been done. And so the judge, he says that, okay, the accused can be kept in police custody for 14 days. Okay. Then 5th June 2004, the police, after all this, the police, they go to the scene of the crime and they collect evidences, they talk to the witnesses, they talk to people there, and so the police, after all that, they file a charge sheet in the magistrate's court, in the court of the magistrate, and the court, they give a copy of this charge sheet. Charge sheet is a sheet containing all the charges against an accused person, and so the court gives a copy of the charge sheet, and it also had the statements of the witnesses, and they gave one copy to Mr. Sohan Singh also, and so Mr. Singh, he tells the court that now the case has gone to the court, and so he says that he cannot afford a lawyer to defend himself, and so the magistrate, he appoints advocate Raman Pandey as Sohan Singh's defense lawyer, and this is at the expenditure of the government. If a person, he is not able to provide for himself, afford for himself a lawyer, so in that condition, the government, they provide a defense lawyer for him so that a person can have a free and fair trial. Okay, so according to Article 22 of the Constitution, every person, he has a fundamental right to be defended by the lawyer, and Article 39A, it gives this duty upon the state, means upon the government, to provide a lawyer to any citizen who is unable to afford a lawyer due to poverty, or if means he is poor enough, or he has some other disability because of which he cannot give a lawyer. So in that case, the state or the government, they provide the person with a lawyer. Alright, then after 14 days in police custody, the accused, they managed to get a bail with the help of their lawyer, and during all this, the police, they recovered the lathis and the blood stained shirt of Mr. Ramesh Sharma, And the police, they also recorded the statements of two eyewitnesses. Okay, now the accused, Mr. Singh, he meets Raman Pandey, who is his defense lawyer, in his chamber in the court, and then he says that, sir, here are my case papers, and I have hit Mr. Sharma when he threatened to shoot me with his pistol, and I plead not guilty as I acted in self defense. So he says to him that he threatened me with a pistol first, and that is why I attacked him, and what I did it in self defense. So I plead not guilty. Okay, let's see how the case it proceeds. And then 15th 9 2004, the trial it begins. And Mr. Sohan Singh, he says that I plead not guilty, and means I am not guilty, and Mr. Sharma, he threatened to kill me with his pistol, and I have hit him in self defense, and out of panic means I didn't know what to do, because he pulled out a pistol, and so I was afraid, and so I attacked him, and I claim trial. Okay, then the public prosecutor, he also presents his case, and public prosecutor is on the side of the government. That is why he's called as a public prosecutor. Prosecutor on the side of the public, that is government. Okay, and means who is presenting the case on behalf of the victim. So he says that, sir, on this particular day, Mr. Sharma, he came out of his house when Mr. Sohan Singh, he abused him, and he challenged him, and as soon as he came out of his house, so they hit him with lathis, and he fell down on the ground, and he was bleeding, and he also became unconscious. And the doctor's report is, it says that he got a serious injury, a 2-inch deep cut in his head. And the investigating officer, that is IO, he also recovered the lathis and the blood stained shirt of Mr. Sharma. And he has also recorded the statements of two witnesses also. And so the judge, he asked that where is the investigating officer, and he should come forward and present the weapons of offense, means the weapons with which the crime has been committed, and also the blood stained shirt, and then present the witness on the side of the public prosecution. Okay, so the investigating officer, he appears in the box, and he presents the above items to the court. And prosecution witness, he is also presented in the court. And so the judge, the advocate asked him that what did you see on that particular day. So he said that, sir, I saw that Mr. Sharma was being beaten with lathis, and by Mr. Singh and his men, and then he fell down bleeding. So the judge, he hears till there, and he said that, okay, now the case is adjourned till the next date is given. So the the case is adjourned. Okay, so now 21st 10 2004, the defense lawyer, he begins the defense lawyer who is defending the accused, he begins the cross examination of the witnesses which were produced by the public prosecutor. Okay, so he says that, so tell me how Mr. Sharma provoked Mr. Singh, my client. So he says that, okay, you tell that how he provoked Mr. Sohan Singh. And and he asked him that, didn't you see him taking out his pistol and threatening to shoot him? And then he asked him that, how did you happen to be on the scene? And so this witness from the side of the public prosecutor, he says that, no, sir, he did not take out a pistol. And he said that, I arrived there when I heard this whole noise of this commotion coming, so I came out and I saw it. Okay, then and then he says, and no, the advocate, he says that, but at that time you were working in your field, and which is located far away. Then he said that, how could the noise could have traveled so far that from your field you heard and you came? So he said that, no, sir, not at all. And at that time I was in my house, which is at a stone throw away from Mr. House. Means even if you throw a small stone, that what it means is that his house is very near to Mr. Ramesh Sharma's house. Okay, the case it goes on. And another prosecution witness is then cross examined. So he said that he also said that I was also at my house, and which is near to Mr. Sharma's house, and when I heard these noises, so I also came out of the house, and I saw that Mr. Sharma, he was being beaten by Mr. Sohan Singh and his men. So the judge, he again hears till now, till here, and he says that okay, now the case is adjourned till the next date. All right, now this is 25th October 2004, and the defense lawyer, now he also presents a witness, a defense witness, and he says that sir, I saw that Mr. Sharma, he was holding out a pistol, and he took out a pistol and he was threatening to kill Mr. Singh, and Mr. Singh, he got panicked, and so he and his men, he they fled away, means out of panic they fled away, and they did not beat him, they did not hit Mr. Ramesh Sharma at all. And so this he told when the advocate asked him that okay, you tell the court what did you see. So he tells the story that Mr. Sharma, he took out a pistol at Mr. Singh, and out of panic Mr. Singh and the men with him, they ran away and they have not hit Mr. Sharma. And then so the advocate, he tells the judge that the medical report, the report of the doctor, now it was pressurized and influenced, and to get a wrong injury report, means it was all made up, and this did not happen in real. Okay. But the other side, they said that but the doctor's injury report, it said that Mr. Sharma, he's got a 2-inch deep injury on his head, and the public prosecutor says that the doctor's report, it cannot be wrong, and he said, sir, the defense lawyer, he is telling a lie. Okay. And so the judge, he asked the defense lawyer that how can you prove that the injury report which the doctor gave was wrong, and the blood stained shirt, it also proves that they had hit him, that an assault was there. And then he again adjourns the case till the next date, and then on 8th November 2004, the judge, he says that the prosecution, they were able, means the public prosecutor, he was able to prove beyond doubt that Mr. Singh, he was guilty. And so the judge, he gave his judgment, and he says that okay, taking into account the injury report and the recovery of the weapon of offense, the testimony of the witnesses, and the other evidences, the court, it holds Mr. Singh guilty of assaulting Mr. Sharma and causing a grievous injury to his head, which might have even caused his death because the injury was on his head. So he said the court, it awards him a punishment amounting to 1 year simple imprisonment and a fine of 5,000. And then he goes on to say that if the accused, means if Mr. Sohan Singh, he wishes, he can file a separate suit, he can file a separate case in the civil court for the recovery of his money. And so with that, the case came to a close. Okay. So from this above incident, you can see that in the criminal justice system of a country, there are 4 important members, 4 important players, for the police, the public prosecutor, the defense lawyer, and the judge. So there are 4 important players in our criminal justice system. And so now let us see and understand their roles in detail, and a little more in detail. Okay. So first we'll have a look at the role of the police, the role the police plays in the criminal justice system. Now, as you have read this whole story above, and one of the primary functions of the police is also to file an FIR, and this is on the basis of a complaint of the victim of a crime. So if anyone, to whom some crime has been committed, and like even if your house has been robbed, so you can go to the police to file an FIR. Here in this case, Mr. Sharma, he was beaten with lathis, and so he goes to the police station to file an FIR. Now after the registration of FIR, the police, they begin the investigation. In criminal cases, the whole thing starts with the filing of an FIR. Before the FIR is filed in, nothing can be done. So once the FIR is filed in, the police, they begin their investigation of the crime, and there are many things which are included in this investigation. Let's see what those are. First is compiling together the information regarding the circumstances, means under which circumstances this particular crime occurred. Then they also go to the scene of the crime and they collect all the evidence, the relevant evidence. Then they try to recover the weapon of offense and record the statements of the witnesses. And then, if the police think that the initial evidence which they have collected in initial investigation which they have done, now on the basis of that, if they think that the accused person is guilty, then that person is arrested, and then the accused person who is arrested, he or she is presented before the court of a magistrate within 24 hours. Now the police, they may sometime ask for an extension of the custody of the accused person for a few days more, so that they can collect some further evidence. Like in this case also, they ask for a custody of 14 days. And now this is generally granted by the court. Then on the basis of the investigation into the various aspects of the crime, the police, then they file a charge sheet in the court, and this is done within a maximum period of 3 months. So within a period of 3 months, the police, they have to file a charge sheet in the magistrate's court. Then the whole trial in the court, it is held on the basis of this particular charge sheet only. And now it is not, in all this we need to remember that it is not the duty of the police to decide that whether the person is guilty or innocent. Now this is for the judge to decide. So the police, their work is to just collect the evidences, investigate the whole thing, collect the evidences, file a charge sheet and present it in the case of the magistrate. Alright, and it is not on them to decide that whether the person, accused person, is really guilty or he is innocent. Now that the judge decides. Now as you all have read earlier, that there is rule of law. Now rule of law, it implies that all are equal before the law and no one is above the law. Now it implies that the police and the courts, now they are also not above the law and they also have to function according to the law. And the police, they also have to conduct the whole investigation according to the law, means they cannot break the law to conduct an investigation. And while they are doing everything, they also have to respect the fundamental rights and the human rights of the accused person. So though the person is accused, but still he is not proved guilty, and even if it's proved guilty, there are certain rights which are given even to a accused person or even to a person who is guilty. So we have to respect, they also, the police and the courts, they have to respect the fundamental rights and the human rights of the person who is accused. He is still not condemned, he is still not proven guilty, he is just accused. So he has certain human rights as well as fundamental rights. And so the police and the police, they are not allowed to torture, neither beat or threaten the accused or the victim or the witnesses during the whole course of investigation. So during the time when they are investigating, they are not allowed to torture, beat or threaten the accused or the victim. And the police, they cannot inflict any punishment on a person for any offense, and whether it is minor or major. So the police, now they cannot give any judgment on this, and they cannot give punishment to any person, whether the offense is big or small. And the Supreme Court, they have given down certain guidelines for the police to follow during arrest or detention or interrogation. And Article 22 of the Constitution, it guarantees the following fundamental rights to a citizen: that no person who is arrested shall be detained in custody. Before arresting a person, you cannot detain a person in custody without being informed. Means if you are arresting or detaining a person or taking him into custody, then the person needs to be informed that for which crime, for what he is being detained or for what he has been arrested. Then even the accused, no such person shall be denied the right to consult. And then even when he is arrested or taken into custody, then the person shall not be denied the right to consult or to be defended by a legal practitioner of law of his or her choice. Then every person who is arrested and detained in custody, the person should be produced before the nearest magistrate within a period of 24 hours. And this is not including the time which is taken up for the journey from the place of arrest to the court of the magistrate. So leaving that time, excluding that time, an accused person who is arrested, he needs to be presented before the magistrate's court within a period of 24 hours. However, a person who is arrested and detained under the law for preventive detention, now he can be imprisoned without a trial for a period of 3 months. Now the Criminal Procedure Code, it guarantees following rights to even an accused person: the right to not be ill-treated or tortured during arrest or in custody. Then confessions which are made in police custody by an accused, they cannot be used as an evidence against the accused person in the court. So whatever confessions, whatever a person says in police custody by the accused, now they cannot be taken up as evidence against the accused in the court. And however, the confession, it can be brought to the notice of the court, and it can be used as a plea that he said so, and so they could ask for a further remand or a person so that he can be put in custody for more days and for the sake of investigation. But that what he says in police custody, it cannot be used as an evidence. And a boy under 15 years of age and women, they cannot be called to the police station just for questioning. So only for questioning. You cannot call boys below 15 years, and women also of all ages cannot be called to the police station just for questioning. Okay, so we'll stop here. Any questions? Have you understood till here?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, interesting. Find this chapter interesting.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.